And we are live. Good evening, everyone. Tonight, we will be discussing how we are starting to see large institutional investors such as Cathie Wood, Tudor Jones, Alan Howard, people like Andreessen Horowitz, institutions like Sequoia Capital start to make large investments into different cryptocurrency projects, different cryptocurrency funds, into the Grayscale ETF or the Grayscale Trust. Sorry about that. And on the other end of the spectrum, we have the retail investor that's panicking and they're listening to the fear, the uncertainty, the doubt. They are listening to the media that's coming out and telling you that what is cryptocurrency used for? What is the actual utility? You're listening to a lot of the influencers tell you that crypto is some type of a scheme or a scam and that they're done, or the naysayers. And it's absolutely laughable. I've been involved with this technology and in the crypto market since 2013, 2012. And if you go back to 2018, that's when we had the bear market up into our recent boom. You actually have real technology today that you can invest in, not just white papers and ICOs. When you look at the level of innovation that's happening with the NFT space within stablecoins, when you look at the automated market makers and you look at decentralized exchanges and layer two scaling solutions, and you look at all of the other competing layer one blockchains for decentralized applications and smart contracts, whether it's Solana, Terra, or Avalanche, you're seeing real technology, real adoption, yet somehow the institutional investor, they're missing that. When you look at Ethereum, right? Because I'm an Ethereum bull. When you take a step back and you look back over a year ago, we are up over 600%. The problem is many of you got involved at the top of this recent correction because you were listening to the influencer who last week was a credit expert. The week before that, they were a relationship expert. And then they were a stock market guru. And now all of a sudden, because crypto was pumping, they were crypto gurus at that time. And you purchased all of the garbage in crypto. You got involved in the Shibas. You got involved in the Dogecoins. You got involved in the Ripples. You got involved in the Safe Moons. And that's what happens when you are in a market that's going through its mania phase. I judge the strength of a bull market in comparison to the individuals that's getting rich or that's being successful or becoming wealthy, because a lot of people got rich on paper during the dot-com bubble, but they ended up giving it all back. See, it's laughable and it's funny when I listen to the Ripple tards or the Dogecoiners tell me that I don't know what I'm talking about. Yet I'm sitting down and I'm in Discord groups with individuals who worked at IBM. They're software engineers. They've worked in investment banking, highly decorated, highly successful, made a lot of money, and they're getting involved with this technology. They're leaving legacy finance. They're leaving legacy tech companies to come into crypto. You don't see that if crypto's a bubble. You don't see that level of, expertise and experience coming into this space, right? If this is some type of a scam or some type of a scheme. You have companies like JP Morgan literally going on a hire spree for blockchain developers and blockchain marketers and people that actually have blockchain experience, mainly within the Ethereum ecosystem. And that's important that you understand. Many of these people are getting involved within the Ethereum ecosystem. That's very, very important. You have investors like Alan Howard and Tudor Jones investing millions of dollars into the Series B round for OpenSea. You have derivatives exchanges like FTX raising $900 million, right? So you had $100 million going to OpenSea. You had $900 million now going to the FTX exchange, and they're being valued at an $18 billion valuation. That doesn't sound like a bear market to me. When you look at Coin Fund raising $83 million in new capital, this is what you want to see when you are looking to invest and get involved with this technology. And I made a video, and I'm not sitting up here saying that I'm, a guru and that all of my predictions play out 100% the way that I predicted them to. But if you go back here to this video on April 20th, 2021, I said Dogecoin, Ripple, and SafeMoon will cause a market correction soon. Because when you see the Ripple tards trying to tell you all of these conspiracy theories, that Warren Buffett, that Donald Trump, that we're going to a gold standard, all of this crazy stuff, these conspiracy theories that they can't actually back up with any facts, that these people are involved in Ripple, you just have to laugh at it, right? Because you know that a market correction is coming. Now, this was April 20th, 2021. If you come here and you look at a chart and we zoom in, hold on, I've got to go forward. Give me 1 second. And I want to zoom in. We go here. This is Bitcoin, a Bitcoin tether chart. We go back here into April. Bitcoin was in the 60, it hit its high right in this area around 50,000, 55,000. I start talking to you about why we need a correction. Now, I didn't think that Bitcoin was going to correct 60%, right, from its all-time high, or 50% from its all-time high. I was thinking more like a 20 or 30% correction. But one thing with crypto, it will always overshoot your price targets. But I called this correction, and I still believe that Bitcoin has some more room to the downside, probably about 24K, 26K that we have to go and touch just to really punish the SafeMooners, the Dogecoiners, and the Ripple tards, to really just wipe them out. Because, you know, I saw just so many influencers promoting garbage and trying to act like they really understood the technology. And to be quite honest with you, most people don't care about the technology. Most people only care about the price, and they equate value with price, right? So as long as the price is going up, then they believe something is valuable. Price is what you pay. Value is what you get. Let me repeat that for you one more time. Price is what you pay. Value is what you actually get. And you have to make sure that you're investing in things that are actually really valuable, that are tangible, that actually they have real utility, not things that are trying to, you know, gamify the system, or trying to piggyback and trying to be, you know, the low market cap of Ethereum just so that it can pump and then eventually dump. I am not telling you not to participate in pump and dumps. I'm telling you to know what you own and why you own it. And as I said before, Dogecoin, Ripple, and SafeMoon, when you see pure morons getting filthy rich on paper, you know it's time to punish the markets. And that's one thing about crypto, where they will absolutely punish you. But through that punishment, you will see real technology and real innovation rise to the top. And smart investors like Cathie Wood, they understand that. Cathie Wood is all about investing in disruptive technology. Now, while she may be a Bitcoin bull and I may be Ethereum bull, I still believe in this technology long term. And whether, you know, Ethereum flips Bitcoin or not, which I believe will happen, one of these smart contract platforms, these decentralized application platforms, will eventually flip Bitcoin. Whether it's Solana, Avalanche, whether it's Terra, whether it's Cardano, whether it's Ethereum, because it brings so much utility to the marketplace. And that's what you should be focusing on. But one thing I've always learned in this industry is you have to follow the money. When the market is fearful, you must be greedy. And when the market is greedy, you must be fearful. When there's blood in the street, that's the best time to invest and get involved with this technology. So please do me a favor, as you come into the live stream, please like this video, please share this video, please subscribe and hit the notification bell, and set the bell to all so that you can receive all of my notifications when I go live. For some reason, YouTube doesn't like to send out notifications to all of you. So if that's happening to you, there's a link to join my mailing list in the description below. Simply click it, enter in your information, and therefore I will email you to notify you before I go live. If you want to dialogue and ask me questions and build with me, you can also follow me on Instagram and shoot me a DM. If you are someone that's interested in learning about this technology, I created mytechacademy.io, where we cover all things crypto: how to buy, how to sell, how to store, different strategies in terms of how you should be structuring your portfolio. We're currently going through our DeFi course, where I'm talking to you and teaching you about staking and lending on different platforms, some yield farming strategies, and as well as some liquidity mining strategies. This is an evergreen course. And what I mean by that, there are multiple courses inside of My Tech Academy. There isn't just one course. When you are a member, you get access to all of the courses at whichever level you join at. We currently have a free 3-day trial. You are welcome to come test it out and see if you like it. You can definitely stick around if you want to. And if you don't like it, as long as you cancel within the first 3 days, you will not be charged a dime. So if you guys can see and hear me clearly, simply type 1 in the chat and we can get started. Okay, I see the ones coming through. Okay, so we are good to go. So again, on April 20th, 2021, I spoke about how Dogecoin, Ripple, and SafeMoon will cause a market correction. That was 3 months ago. And I was pretty accurate about in terms of the correction. I did not know the correction was going to be this severe. I was thinking more like in the line of 20 or 30%. But as I just stated earlier, you know, crypto always tends to overshoot to the upside and to the downside. And why I was sharing that is that if you look at this, the different phases that you go through in terms of people adopting a particular technology or investing into a particular sector or niche. You had the stealth phase of Bitcoin back in 2009 to 2010, right? And that's where Bitcoin, you know, started trading at below $1 and then eventually had these crazy run-ups. I got involved in crypto right back here during the awareness phase, right? And then we had that first sell-off, we had that bear trap, and then we had this push, right? Going into, you know, 2015, 2016, 2017, and then 2018, we had the bull trap, the denial, the return to normal, and then the market basically fell off. This is where we are currently at right now. We are in the mania phase. When you see things like Shiba Swap and Shiba and Kishu and Dogecoin and Ripple and SafeMoon, you know that you're in a mania, right? But we haven't hit greed yet. And when you look at inflation running at 5.4%, when you look at the trillions of dollars that the Fed is injecting into the stock market and just into the markets in general, that money is going to bleed over and spill over into crypto. And with crypto only being worth, what, $1.3, $1.4 trillion as of today, we have so much room to run to the upside. So right now we have to wipe out the dumb money, but we're going to get back into this greed phase, and we're about to experience a bull market, barring nothing happens with this Delta variant, right? These are things that you and I can't control. We can't model for, right? We don't know what will happen with the government in terms of them shutting down the economy and creating more lockdowns. If that happens, then we would have to deal with that as we go. But as things are currently constructed today, ARK buys another 310,000 Grayscale Bitcoin Trust shares on dip. According to a subscription to the firm's trade activity, Cathie Wood's ARK Invest purchased an additional 310,000 shares of the Grayscale Bitcoin Trust yesterday. The shares were worth approximately $7.8 million at the time of purchase. ARK used the ARKW ETF to purchase the shares, adding 310,000 shares to its existing 8,845,000 holdings, bringing the weighting of GBTC in the ETF to just over 4%. Again, follow the money, follow the institutional investor. They're not participating in garbage like Dogecoin. They're not participating in garbage like Ripple. They're not participating in none of this garbage. They're participating in real serious projects, primarily Bitcoin. That's what you're really going to see a lot of these larger institutional players, and in terms of corporate treasuries, put their money into Bitcoin, because again, inflation's running at 5.4%. If they simply hold cash, they're going to get burned. So this is why Elon Musk, people like Michael Saylor, are investing in putting their corporate treasuries into Bitcoin. Right here again, you have ARK Invest. ARK buys 53.6 million worth of Square after Jack Dorsey's Bitcoin announcement. Right, a subscription to ARK Invest trade notifications revealed a huge purchase of Square shares just after Jack Dorsey's announcement about building DeFi on Bitcoin. 179,644 shares of Square were added to ARK Invest ARK K ETF, and another 46,273 shares were added to the ARK KW ETF. The cumulative purchase comes to 225,937 new shares of Square worth around $53.6 million. Again, Cathie Wood only invests primarily in disruptive technology, and part of that is Bitcoin. And if you look at Cathie Wood's performance, her 1-year performance is over 50%, her 3-year performance is over 159%, and her 5-year performance is over 403%. So clearly, she has a great track record when it comes to investing in disruptive technology. And this is why I keep saying to you guys time and time again, you don't have to reinvent the wheel. All you simply have to do is just follow the money. And if you look at the technology and look at the progression of the technology, it definitely lets you know exactly where you need to be focusing, right? Now, what I find funny about this whole idea about building DeFi on Bitcoin is that you have a platform, right, like Stacks. They are trying to bring DeFi to Bitcoin. And I've told you guys time and time again that it is extremely hard to build anything outside of being able to send money back and forth to someone on Bitcoin. You cannot build an NFT platform on Bitcoin, stable coins on Bitcoin, automated market makers, DEXs, all of those things that you would want. Remember, when Satoshi created Bitcoin and had the vision for Bitcoin back in 2008, it was because of what was happening within our financial economy and system with monetary policy. But Bitcoin's only a store of value. That's all it will ever be. It's extremely hard to build a financial ecosystem with just a store of value, because finance is much broader than just store of value. You have to think of derivatives, borrowing, lending, mortgages, insurance, right? So many different utilities and marketplaces and use cases when it comes to finance. You cannot do that on Bitcoin. So when I look at things like Stacks, understand that Stacks is just a sidechain. It utilizes a different consensus mechanism. It has a different security model than Bitcoin. It doesn't utilize Bitcoin as a base layer for security. It has its own security model, and it has its own consensus mechanism. That's why they have a token. And it's laughable to watch the mental gymnastics that the Bitcoin community will go through to keep constantly changing the narrative, right? Because, like, think about it, they love to tell you that, Bitcoin, hasn't changed, and Bitcoin's changed tremendously since when I first got involved in Bitcoin. But again, Bitcoin doesn't utilize a Turing complete programming language. Bitcoin is only simply good for holding it and sending it, which is why most of the innovation that happens on top of Bitcoin is just for you to be able to send it a little bit cheaper. But in terms of adopting this technology and stretching the range of use cases, you will not be able to do that on the Bitcoin main chain. Omni has tried it. Now, this Stacks protocol, they've been failing at building DeFi on Bitcoin since 2013, 2014. They've been trying to build DeFi on Bitcoin since 2013, 2014, and they've been failing. See, when you look at Ethereum, Ethereum's been succeeding. We have NFTs. We have oracles and middleware. We have automated market makers. We have MakerDAO, which is a decentralized autonomous bank running on top of Ethereum. We have DeFi with Ethereum. They're trying to build DeFi on Bitcoin. Do you see the difference? How we're kicking Bitcoin's ass in any metric that you think of, right? Like, literally kicking Bitcoin's ass. Like, it's laughable at this point. So, when I see Jack Dorsey coming here and he's saying, like, our new Bitcoin hardware wallet, we're going to do this completely in the open roadmap, open development, and open source, is leading, Brock M is leading and building this team. And we have some ideas around the initial platform primitives we want to build. Now, I want to take a step back, and I want to look at someone like AB in the Omnicast. He says, wrecked, laughing my ass off. Bull run is over, dude. Not trolling, just my opinion. How can the bull run be over when Ethereum is up over 660%? Like, when I see comments like that, or when I see people making posts like that, it's laughable that you're telling me that something that's up over 660% is somehow the bull run's over. How? We're still in the bull run. Do you not realize that, or do you not see that? I've been on this channel talking about Ethereum since it was trading at $100. Today it's trading at $2,000. That's 20 times on your money if you decided to get out today. So how could we possibly ever not be in a bull market? It's illogical to say that. Something that's up 600%, you would then say somehow is not a bull market? If Bitcoin was trading at around 6,000 and it pushes up to 30,000, that's 5 times on your money, right? How could you not say that we're not in a bull market? Now, to go back to what I was talking about. So when I see people like Jack Dorsey, that's extremely smart. And I see him purposely ignoring Ethereum as if it doesn't exist. But then he turns around and Twitter is making NFTs now, apparently. And they're launching these NFTs on top of Ethereum. They're not launching these NFTs on Bitcoin. Right? It says Dorsey's NFT sold for 1,630 ETH right here. They created about 100. What was it? How many NFTs they created? 140 free NFTs because they have 140 characters. Right? So when you start seeing this stuff, right, it's just you have to laugh at the things that you see, because what happens with a lot of the Bitcoin maxis is that they speak out of both sides of their face. Right, on one end, it's Bitcoin, 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 but then they don't mind launching something on top of Ethereum. They don't mind launching NFTs or their token on top of Ethereum. When you go back here and you look at someone like Pomp, Mr. Bitcoin Maxi himself, and March 28th, 2017, he said, unpopular opinion, Ethereum will be larger than Bitcoin in the long run, both volume and market cap. Right? So it's laughable when I watch this stuff, because I've been around long enough to watch the Bitcoin maxis continuously jump back and forth in terms of whatever fits their narrative. At the end of the day, these people are out to make money, which is why you should take everyone's opinion. You should hold it in very, very low regard. You should make sure that you are doing your own due diligence, that you are researching and understanding what you own and why you own it. If you are a degenerate yield farmer, then know that and know the risks and know the rewards. But don't buy into these people and their ideologies, because they change week to week, month to month. 1 month, there'll be an Ethereum bull. Next month, there'll be a Cardano bull. Then after that, the market's going to hell in a handbasket. Get out of it, sell everything. It's a scam. Next week, crypto's going to take over the world. These people literally, they change week to week. So, and it's laughable to watch it. So I want to share this with you because this is what Cathie Wood believes that where Bitcoin's going to go. And I actually believe that she's pretty, spot on. I believe that Bitcoin will eventually hit about $400,000 to $500,000. Just for the simple fact of I believe that Bitcoin is a better version of gold, right? Because it's a digital version. Like, I own gold, but the problem with gold is you have to hold it, or you have to trust someone else to hold it for you. So that becomes one of the biggest problems. The fact that Bitcoin is digital is extremely, it makes it very, very easy to transport it. So I can see with inflation running really, really high, and I covered that in my previous video, that a lot of large institutional investors, as well as different corporations, are going to want to park whatever extra cash and reserves that they have into Bitcoin, being the fact that it's under $1 trillion right now market cap, and it has so much more room to run. When you look at gold, gold is a $10 to $12 trillion market cap in terms of the physical metal. And I believe that Bitcoin is definitely going to take some market share from the precious metal. So let's listen to what Cathie Wood had to say about Bitcoin.
Bitcoin, I mean, you at one point, I think back in April, told Dow Jones that it could go to about $500,000. Do you still hold that target? Do you still think that's where we're headed?
We do. I do. Yassine El
$500,000. Do you still hold that target? Do you still think that's where we're headed?
We do. I do. Yassine El Mandra is our crypto analyst, and we go through soul searching times like this and scrape the models. And yes, our conviction is as high. The one thing that has changed here, however, is the environmental concerns around Bitcoin in particular have caused people like Elon Musk to pull away and say, whoa, 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 let me make sure I understand this. And we believe that even this is going to change because, first of all, right now, the percentage of Bitcoin mined with renewables and hydroelectric power is quite substantial. I think in China, it's over 50% in renewables. And we also believe...
and see, that narrative, the whole idea about the energy consumption with Bitcoin is another reason why I don't believe that Bitcoin is robust enough to withstand a state level attack. And I've covered this before where I asked the question, when you think about the fact that Bitcoin relies on, for the most part, energy, right? Like you need energy to mine and create new blocks within Bitcoin because it's a proof of work system. The fact that it relies on a centralized commodity like electricity or energy, and the fact that governments can step in and basically make it illegal to mine Bitcoin, I believe that, you know, how decentralized Bitcoin truly is when a major aspect of the model and the security model depends on a centralized commodity like energy, right? You just have to ask yourself that question because, as I said before, what's stopping, if Bitcoin became a threat to governments, what is stopping governments from having drones run around and look for heat signatures or thermal signatures and just drone striking the hell out of the mining farm, right? Like, we know that the government has the technology and the capabilities. We know that Barack Obama was the king of drones. So the idea that somehow that, like, that's why I believe that proof of stake is a much more robust and much more dynamic system than Bitcoin could ever be with proof of work. I believe that Bitcoin would definitely have to be able to, to change that. Now, in terms of the energy consumption, I covered that before, that, that's a very, very subjective term to say that Bitcoin wastes energy, right? Because who are you to determine what is a waste and what isn't a waste of energy, right? Like, as I can say to you that your Christmas lights are wasting energy. I can say to you that you shouldn't take a plane. You should ride your bike to whichever state that you want to fly to, right? It's a reason why you will consume more energy in different ways because the convenience that it provides you. If I said to you, stop washing and drying your clothes, why not wash your clothes in your tub and hang them out to air dry so that we can save energy, right? So you have to really start being more nuanced in your thinking and in the conversations that you're having. And then if Bitcoin wastes energy in comparison to what, right? How much energy does the traditional financial system waste in terms of office buildings and people having to get into cars and fill their cars up with gas and then drive those cars to work? How much energy goes into making the car that they're into, getting on a train, getting on a bus? Like, these are things that you have to think about when you start talking about, Bitcoin waste energy. I always ask people in comparison to what. So that argument is definitely, just a dead argument in terms of Bitcoin wasting energy. And this is why, though, I believe that Energy Web token is going to be a really, really big project, because you're going to, although this is not true, we know that we live in the era, in the age of fake news. And I believe that the media is going to continue to keep pushing that narrative somehow that Bitcoin wastes energy, or that Bitcoin is dead, or that Bitcoin is polluting the environment. And therefore, it's going to lead to something like Energy Web token really being able to shine, or proof of stake systems being able to really, really do really well. When we sit back here and we look at OpenSea, right? OpenSea secures $100 million in a Series B round at a $1.5 billion valuation. Again, institutional investors getting involved and investing money into OpenSea, which is an NFT platform. NFT marketplace OpenSea has raised 100 million, I said billion, 100 million in a Series B round led by venture capital firm Andreessen Horowitz, A16Z. The new funding values the company at $1.5 billion, effectively making OpenSea a unicorn, or a startup with an over $1 billion total valuation. Participants in the round include talent and sports agency, creative artist agency, Michael Ovitz, Kevin Durant, and Ashton Kutcher. The announcement comes just 4 months after the marketplace closed a $23 million Series A round, also led by A16Z. Again, you're seeing institutions, large investors getting involved. You would be a fool to think that we're somehow in a bear market and that we're going to have a crash similar to 2018. Now, again, I want to make sure that I preference my statement by saying to you, if we have more lockdowns, if we have a shutdown of the economy, then all bets are off, right? We don't know what's going to happen. We don't know if the Fed's going to step in and run the money printer. We don't know if they're going to raise rates to let the market. We don't know at that point. But if everything continues to go on the path that it's going on to, I see crypto easily hitting a $3.5 to $4 trillion market cap by the end of the year, is what I definitely see. FTX closes $900 million funding round at an $18 billion valuation. Crypto exchange FTX has officially closed its Series B funding round, drawing in $900 million from an array of investors. Launched in 2019, FTX has grown to become one of the most publicly visible exchange venues, with its headline-catching sponsorship deals with the likes of Major League Baseball and esports team TSM. The fundraise brings names to its cap table from across the crypto investment spectrum. Participants include SoftBank, Sequoia Capital, Paradigm, Lightspeed, Third Point, Alan Howard, Izzy Englander, and the Paul Tudor Jones family. So these institutional investors are not getting involved in this because they think it's a scam. As I said before, I was here in 2018 where you were just investing in vaporware and a white paper and the dream or the promise that, this particular ICO would be able to one day get a working mainnet. We have working mainnets today. We have smart contracts today. We have decentralized finance today, right now. Stable coins, multiple stable coins, automated market makers, decentralized exchange, layer 2 scaling solutions like Arbitrum and Optimism and Polygon. It's here. So let me take a sip of water real quick. Let me look at the chat. Now, I want to play something for you real quick. And I think that this is important because this is one of the main reasons why I believe that we're going to see DeFi take off in a major way and we're going to see institutional investors get involved. It's because institutional investors are looking for yield. They're not getting yield in the bond market because of inflation and because the Fed has rates so low. So they're going to have to come over to DeFi because DeFi right now is the only place that you can get 5, 8, 10, 12% yields. So let's listen to what Elon Musk had to say.
Tesla's bank balances in Europe have negative interest rates. It drives me crazy.
Yeah.
Technically, if you've got like 2% inflation on 1% interest, you're technically minus 1% return. But nonetheless, it is quite annoying to just see your bank balance drop in real time in Europe. Europe has negative interest rates. This is insane.
Paying the banks, paying the banks to hold
the bank to keep your money. I'm like, what?
It is crazy.
Like, what? We definitely move that into Bitcoin. Tesla's bank balances in Europe have negative interest rates. It drives me crazy.
Yeah.
Technically, if you've got like 2% inflation on 1% interest, you're technically minus 1% return. But nonetheless, it is quite annoying to just see your bank balance drop in real time in Europe. Europe has negative interest rates. This is insane.
Paying the banks.
What?
And believe me when I tell you, you're going to see negative interest rates come to the United States. That's the only tool left in the Fed's tool in their tool belt. But think about that for a second. Like when you leave your money sitting at a bank, you're literally paying the bank to hold your money for you because they have negative interest rates. This is where DeFi is going to shine, because when you come over here and you look at Fulcrum, and I showed you guys how to use Fulcrum in my previous video, you can earn 6.28% on your DAI. 2% on your USDC and 7%, over 7% on your USDT. Now, these rates, they fluctuate, but understand that since my last live stream, I've earned $2.72 passively. That's higher than any CD, any money market that you're going to put your money into. And most importantly, I'm liquid. And this is all happening in a peer-to-peer way on chain that I can verify. I don't have to trust a financial centralized institution with my funds. I don't have to trust that they're going to do the right thing. I don't have to trust that the government's going to have the FDIC or some type of insurance, be able to bail out the banking institution, removing trust. And I'm earning interest by the second on my funds. Now, when I did the live stream last week, the rate was I believe it was like 4.6%. Now the rate's currently at 2.14. Again, the rate fluctuates up and down because right now what's happening is because of the volatility in the market, and a lot of people believe that the market's going to go lower, they're moving a lot of their funds into stable coins, so therefore the rates are kind of going down. But you can earn a higher rate on your USDC over here at Yearn, right? If I come here and I look at USDC over here on Yearn, I can earn 5.71%. So depending on which DeFi protocol you're looking at or which aggregator you're looking at, you could earn different rates. This is going to attract the institutional investor 100% because they want to be able to earn this yield. They're not going to be able to earn a yield higher than inflation to beat inflation, putting their money in the traditional bond market. This is where you're really going to see crypto shine in a major way. And this is why I believe DeFi. And when I think about DeFi, in my opinion, DeFi is bigger than Ethereum now. Ethereum may have launched and kicked DeFi off last summer in a major way, but when you start looking at Solana, you start looking at Terra, they definitely have a beautiful ecosystem that they're putting together, and they have some real competitive rates over there. So the ecosystem is healthy. These are the things that you want to see, and these are the things that make me excited about being in this space. Again, watching and seeing institutional investors get involved, watching and seeing them invest billions of dollars. Trust me when I tell you, JP Morgan isn't going on a blockchain hiring spree for their Onyx division because they think that this is some type of pump and dump and scam. And this is where you have to, decipher and decide between what is noise and filter it out and what is sound advice or sound information. This is where you have to raise your consciousness as an investor. I am not telling you not to participate in the garbage like Dogecoin, Ripple, SafeMoon, or Shiba, right? Those things will pump. We're extremely early. But when they get far out of whack, like when I have people who they don't know anything about the distributed ledger technology, they've never developed, they've never written a line of code, they haven't read any white papers, but they're telling me I don't know what I'm talking about, I know that it's time to sell. And this is why back in April 20th, I told you that it will cause a market correction. This is why I was able to do over a 70x in something like Matic. And this is why I started taking profit in Matic/Polygon, because I could just see that the market started getting far ahead of itself, because you have the Dogecoiners and the Ripple tards literally telling you that, to the moon we go. Okay, well, what is to the moon, right? What does the technology actually do, right? When you look at the fact that Dogecoin, and you look at their GitHub repository, and you look at the fact that nothing's been happening there. The founder walked away from the project, and that is only going up because Elon Musk is tweeting about it. Then that tells you all you need to know. But I told you, short term, I was bearish because of that. But long term, it made me bullish, because if some garbage like Dogecoin could get to a $70+ billion valuation, then I know for a fact something like Chainlink can definitely get to $100 billion valuation. So long term, it made me very, very bullish, because I understand that there's a lot of money sitting on the sideline, and there's a misallocation of capital. And I understand the institutions, they're looking at this right now, and they're slowly dipping their feet and getting their feet wet. But long term, when you start looking at 3 years, 5 years from now, crypto's a layup. You should be embarrassed if you're in the right place at the right time and you're not making money. It's so easy just to see what's happening right before your very eyes. But one thing I've learned over the years of just investing is sometimes what's obvious, what's right in your face, it's so obvious, it's so easy that it's easy for you to miss it. And that's what's going to happen to many of you. Now, as I said before, and I say this time and time again, we are so early that when you look at the overall crypto market, today we're rallying right now. We have, if you look at the market cap is $1.3 trillion. I believe at the end of this bull cycle, we should get to about a $3.5 to a $4 trillion market cap. That tells me that we have a lot of room to run on the upside, and I definitely see that happening. My end of the year price target for Ethereum is somewhere around $5,000, maybe a little bit above, a little bit below. I could see Bitcoin hitting 100K by the end of the year, and Bitcoin and Ethereum is going to be the rising tide that will lift all ships that is swimming in the ocean. So you're going to see garbage like Ripple and Dogecoin pump. Like, look at this right now. Combined, Dogecoin and Ripple is worth $50 billion combined. But when you look at something like Solana, it's only worth $7.3 billion. So that tells me that I have so much more room to run with Solana. When I look at Chainlink and it's only worth $6.7 billion, yet, you know, I look at all of the integrations and partnerships that Chainlink is participating in right now. I know that I have a ton of room to run. And I know that the institutional investors, the Grayscales of the world, the Sequoia Capitals of the world, the Paul Tudor Jones family of the world, the Cathie Woods of the world, they have to come and pump my bags. They have to come and pump my Solana bag, my Chainlink bag, my Energy Web token bag. They have to pump them. And this is why it's good to be involved in solid projects. I promise you, they're not buying Shiba Swap. They're not investing in Shiba. Now, will Shiba pump? Absolutely. And eventually it will dump. So you just better make sure that you know what you own and you know how to hop off that train before you get wrecked. Make sure of that. So I'll take a few questions right now. AB in the Omnicast. See, this is the problem with your thinking. You're trying to compare a very, very thin market to a very, very thick market like gold. Of course, it's easy for it to dip. Of course, it's going to be volatile. It's only worth $1.3 trillion. It's going through price discovery. It's trying to find price discovery. As more and more institutional investors get involved, as more technology is being built around the Bitcoin ecosystem, as more and more corporations invest their treasuries into Bitcoin, you're going to see the price start to stable in terms of volatility. Just go, if you don't believe me, take me up on this offer. Go and compare Bitcoin's volatility 5 years ago to today, and the volatility has dramatically been reduced, right? So it's already proven itself that the volatility is going down. The trend of the volatility has continuously been dipping year after year after year after year. Why? Because the market cap is getting much more stable. If you don't believe me, simply just pull up a chart of Bitcoin's volatility. So again, you're wrong, but the beautiful thing about, you know, markets is that you're entitled to be wrong. Those of us that understand where we're going, we know what's going to happen, right? Bitcoin will be the dominant store of value network. Just like when you look at Facebook, that is the dominant social media network. YouTube is the dominant video network. Twitter is the dominant messaging network, right? Winner will eventually take all and rise to the cream of the crop, right? Ethereum, or could possibly be Solana or Terra, one of them are going to rise and be the cream of the crop of the decentralized financial network. Bitcoin will be the dominant store of value network. It's happening. Right? So, you know, it's happening right before your very eyes. Who is this? Hello, mate. What are your thoughts on FTM? I don't know what FTM. I don't know anything about FTM Phantom. I've never looked at the project. Thank you for the donation, Eric Speller. First, I wanted to say thank you, Eli. What's your take on BAT? Appreciate your advice. Basic attention token. I used to own a large majority. I used to have a large bag of basic attention token, but I'm not excited about the project. I don't really see a lot of innovation happening within the project in terms of it being, you know, a web browser and alternative. I don't really see a lot of adoption happening with the project. I was really, really bullish on it back in 2017, 2018-ish. Not anymore. I don't see the type of adoption that you would want to see. AB and the Omnicast, you can believe what you want to believe. If you believe Hex is a better store of value, great. The marketplace will tell you. But right now, Bitcoin has proven itself to be the dominant store of value, right? So there's nothing to debate here, right? Like literally, you're telling me what you think. I'm telling you what has happened. What has happened right now is that the volatility in Bitcoin has tremendously dropped year after year. Right now, Bitcoin has proven itself to be the dominant store of value, and Bitcoin will take market share away from the gold market cap. And I don't hear Elon Musk, I don't hear people like Cathie Wood mentioning Hex. So if I'm following the money and I'm trying to put my money into something that I believe is going to be around 3 to 5 years from now, the play, if I'm a wealthy person, remember, the only reason why you buy gold is because you are trying to preserve the wealth that you've already built. Well, corporations don't have time to play with Richard Hart's science projects, right? They have investors' money, investors' capital, so they have to put it into something that has proven itself to be successful. When you start thinking about the Lindy effect and the fact that a network that has been around is more likely to stay around, then that's where it's happening with Bitcoin. There's a place for Hex as well. Hex is a solid project. Doesn't mean that it's better than Bitcoin, right? See, what happens with a lot of you is because you have very tribalistic ways of thinking, you believe that there's, only going to be one cryptocurrency that will rule everything. Instead, what's going to happen is it's going to be a multi-chain world where different cryptocurrencies serve different functions and they have different utilities. Sort of like how you have the Internet Protocol Suite and Stack, where all of these different protocols, they talk to each other when you're using the internet. That's what you're going to have with a lot of these cryptocurrencies, where you're going to have different cryptocurrencies that have different utilities that are able to talk to each other. This idea that, Hex has to prove itself. Now, it could very well prove itself to be better than Bitcoin. That's what you're investing in. But as of right now, what the marketplace is telling you is that the institutional investor is betting on Bitcoin. That's what you're seeing right now. So that's what I'm talking about right now. Alexander Wilson, NVIDIA's CEO, said that crypto will be important to various virtual worlds like Omniverse and Metaverse. Do you have any thoughts? Yes. Let me take a sip of water real quick. I covered this before. Where's my phone at? Right here. You have to think about how much time people spend scrolling on this device. How many hours people spend playing video games. That's a virtual world. Like, think about a game like Fallout. I love Fallout. You know me, I'm a nerd. I play my video games. Fallout allows you to design your character, style your character, and you're spending hour after hour after hour in this virtual world where you're talking to other NPCs, where you're building up your fort, you're gathering all these resources within the game. Then they have DLC. So people find value in plugging into that matrix. People find value into plugging into Instagram, into plugging into Twitter, and this consumes people's hours and days and weeks, to the point where, like, when you go out to eat, people spend so much time on these devices where people will rather talk to you through text or through the phone and won't talk to you while you're at dinner with them. Where am I going with this? This idea of the metaverse, right? Virtual reality, virtual worlds. It's only going to become ever more present and powerful when you start thinking about the Unreal Engine. That's a game engine for the game. And I'm playing Doom Eternal, and I'm comparing Doom Eternal to the Doom that I played on Nintendo 64. Like, the graphics gets to the point where it looks real. It feels real. Your controller's shaking in your hand, your heart's racing. I feel like the Doomslayer when I'm ripping and tearing, right? When I'm shooting the BFG, to the point where I spend hours of my day in that world. So the virtual world's only going to become more powerful. People spend billions of dollars on video games, and as the technology increases, as the graphics processors get better, you're not going to be able to tell a difference between the virtual world and the real world, especially with augmented reality and all of this technology that's going on. Again, you have to see a world that doesn't exist right now, but that world already exists. See, I'm not giving you any far-fetched information that I'm some conspiracy theorist. Like, go and study. People spend hour after hour, billions of hours playing video games in fantasy worlds. Fallout 4 is a fantasy world. Doom Eternal is a fantasy world. But I spend so much of my real time in that world. I spend my real currency in that world. Because remember, you work for this currency, right? So you're spending your productive hours and time and resources in a virtual world. It's only going to get more powerful. So when you start looking at like Decentraland and you start looking at cryptocurrencies like Engine, you have to really start asking yourself, like, you know, where can this technology go and where will they eventually go? Because as I said before, the problem with the Xbox marketplace and store is that it's a centralized entity, right? It's a centralized, they control basically your account. And if they want to shut you down, then they shut you down and you lose access to all of the content and things that you've purchased, right? Because we no longer have physical games anymore. Like, we have the actual DVD, right? Or the CD, excuse me. You actually have to, you know, download it digitally. And if you don't know how to properly back up and store your games, you lose access to it if you lose access to your Microsoft store account. So, Microsoft, excuse me, your Xbox store account. So I hope that answers your question. Come on, Sha X. That's a foolish question. Hex reaching $60,000. Come on, that doesn't even make any sense. That's a great question, Trey Zulu. What is your ultimate vision for cryptocurrency? My ultimate vision was that we were going to live in a decentralized world and that people were going to be able to take more control and ownership, and that we were going to be able to overthrow the globalists or create, you know, be able to hold them off and create some type of a barrier. But I truly believe now, like the further I go along with this and I evolve, I believe that a majority of this technology is going to be used to enslave humanity and track and monitor and trace everything. Like when you look at Bitcoin, the fact that it's an open ledger and that everything can be tracked, traced, and monitored, that's not a good thing, right? That's not, Bitcoin is a surveillance coin because you can literally track every single transaction on the blockchain. And you know, you leave a digital footprint behind when you're interacting with the Bitcoin blockchain. So this is why Chainalysis can track you and monitor what's going on. Monero is by far better than Bitcoin in every aspect, but Monero is too good. So my vision was for us to have more freedom, more transparency, and just to create a better world. But the reality is I believe that we're going to get a central bank digital currency. We're going to have some type of a digital identity. All of that's going to be on a blockchain where the government's going to control the ledger. And as I said earlier, if you get out of line, if you do anything that they don't like, they can just basically now remove you out of the system. See, at least with cash, even if the government didn't like you or like what you were doing, you know, they don't control the actual cash. Like you have it, it's physical, right? The fact that something is digital, if someone can control the ledger and control your access to it, then they can freeze you out because they can control where you spend the money and where you don't spend the money. And if they freeze you out of the system, then, you know, you're just frozen. So I believe that my vision was to have more freedom, more transparency, more liberty. But in the end, humans are just too stupid to have freedom. Most humans don't deserve freedom because they don't cherish it. So most humans deserve to be controlled and treated like cattle because most people are dumb. You know, sorry to be so, negative. I know you want me to paint this, you know, beautiful, rosy picture, but the reality is that, you know, when you look at the level of stupidity that it just exists in the world, I don't see how people can adopt this technology and actually use it for the better. And that's one of the important things that Cathie Wood shared, and I really like when she shared this about Bitcoin. And you know, you can say what you want about the Bitcoin community; they are toxic, they are dumb, and they are ignorant. But there are some really, really bright people in the Bitcoin community, and they're really, really dedicated to trying to really bring something new and better and create a better version of the world. So let's listen to what Cathie Wood had to say about that, because I think that that's important.
You've got the transparency of the ecosystem. And then on governance, you've got the transparency of the ecosystem. It's completely transparent, unlike the opaqueness of financial systems and the toll takers in the traditional financial world. And I think a huge part of governance in the Bitcoin ecosystem are the Bitcoin core developers. Now, before I met them, and I've had the pleasure and the honor of meeting many of them, that was a part of this ecosystem I didn't understand. But actually getting to sit down and talk to them, if I have a learning curve need, it certainly is on the technology side. But in terms of talking to them about economics, economic theory, failed monetary regimes historically, they know economic history, many of them, better than anyone I've ever met. So that gives me a great degree of confidence that they do believe they are on a noble mission. They could be paid a lot more than they're being paid right now if they worked at Google or Facebook or some of these other areas. But they've chosen, this sense of purpose for a noble goal, and they have incredibly strong technology backgrounds. As well as a good understanding of economic history, especially monetary history. And it gives me a great deal of comfort as I think about the governance of the ecosystem.
So, like she said, that's one of Bitcoin's strong suits and strong points is their community, because the community really is passionate, and you get that whole libertarian vibe from the Bitcoin community, and that's what initially attracted me to Bitcoin years ago when I first found out about it. I believe I first found out about Bitcoin when I came across Da Vinci J, and then I heard about it. I don't know if I heard it first from Da Vinci J, or then I heard it from Jeff Berwick on the Fox Business channel. But this was years ago when I first heard about it. And this was probably back in like 2012-ish, like late 2012, where I first started hearing about it. And then I was in a lot of these different forums and groups, and they were talking about this idea of this, decentralized cryptocurrency. And I just dived down that rabbit hole. And, there are, outside of the Bitcoin maxis that are just pure morons, you do have some people that are really passionate about liberty and freedom for people. And I that's a good thing to see. But the Bitcoin community overall has definitely morphed and just, changed into something completely different and just absolutely toxic and just moronic and idiotic. For your soul, Nance. Hello, Eli. Where can I buy Telcoin at here in the US? You can buy it on an exchange by the name of Balancer. You can use Binance. I show you how to get around the restrictions inside of the academy. If you want some step-by-step instructions. If not, you can use the exchange by the name of Balancer to be able to purchase Telcoin. So, right now, see again. So the logic sphere, clearly, clearly, you aren't like posing any factual information. You're posing your opinion of the facts. He said theoretically, Bitcoin and gold should be at all-time highs based on the record high inflation they just reported. Hex is decorrelated. BTC is correlated to the whole damn market, dude. No. Hex started with no market cap. So therefore, when you look at the fact that Hex had no market cap, it's very easy for Hex to be pushed and pumped. Why? Because it's building a market cap. That's what happens. That's why lower cap cryptocurrencies pump more than larger cap cryptocurrencies. Okay? Now, just because something may be a store of value, the marketplace will determine where they want to allocate their capital. The market determines that. Just because something is designed to be a store of value doesn't mean the market will treat it like a store of value. So, right now, the market, if you look at the performance of Bitcoin over the past 11 years, it's outperformed almost every other asset class. I don't believe that there's any other asset class that's outperformed Bitcoin over the past 11 years. And I believe 12 years, right? Because 2009. So when you sit here and you listen to the things you're saying, like, listen, you want to be a Hex bull, that's great. So what I'm going to do for you is I'll remove you and you can go and be a Hex bull. There's no reason for you to be here, right? And you can go here and you can promote Hex, but you're not going to spam, my chat. That I won't let you do. Right? Like, if you like Hex, I never said Hex was a bad project. I'm not against Hex. I always said that Richard Hart is extremely bright, extremely talented, but it's not like Hex has to prove that it's better than Bitcoin. It's to prove itself. So if you believe that it will happen, you go and buy Hex. But I'm not going to sit up here and debate with what you're saying. like, and you're not going to sit up here and, ruin my chat. That I won't let you do. Because you're clearly just trolling. You're not even engaging in good conversation. Trey Zulu, I plan to join your program because I love your work ethic. I'm 29 years old. I'm new to cryptocurrency. Thanks for the work you put in. No problem. And understand, guys, if you don't have the money to get involved, there's other people. There's a ton of free information out here. It may be scattered, but someone like Andreas Antonopoulos is a good person to follow. He has, great presentations on crypto, but he's more of a Bitcoin maxi, even though he says he's not. When you look at most of his content, a majority of his content is based around Bitcoin. Yes, he's covered a little bit of DeFi and things going on, but a majority of his content is based around Bitcoin. But I think that it's a great place to start with Andreas. So I'll go and look him up, Andreas Antonopoulos. He has some really, really good information for free if you can't afford my information, right? Alexander Wilson, do you have a Discord channel? No, I have a Slack group. You get access to the Slack group when you join My Tech Academy. And that's where the real value is at, right? Joining a community of like-minded people. That's where you get the majority of the value at. And is being in a group of people that, cause like I'm in Discord groups, I'm in other Telegram groups, and it's not filtered, right? So any random person can come in there and just, post what they want. And you don't really know if the information that you're receiving is vetted or if it's really good information. For all it could be the same person with 50 different accounts telling you to buy this or buy that. So outside of like the developer Discord groups I'm in, many of the crypto groups are just pure garbage for Discord. That's why we have our Slack group, and my Slack group is for paying members. Malik Immaculate, do you think Anchor has a future? Is basically trying to make cross staking between different cryptos possible for a small fee. I don't know enough about crypto to know if that's already been done. I don't know enough about the Anchor project to give you, sound advice or sound information about it. Me personally, I like to talk about the things that I know, the things that I've experienced, the technology that I use on a daily basis, that I develop, that I code with, that I teach about. And I'm mainly into the Ethereum ecosystem or, applications that's being built on top of the EVM spec. I just don't know enough about Anchor to give you, a solid opinion about Anchor. So what can we do about this enslavement? Nothing. There's absolutely nothing you can do, man. I'm a firm believer in that. Listen, the writing's on the wall. The only thing you should be focusing on doing right now is gathering up enough resources, enough power, wealth, and influence to be able to control your environment and make sure you have the necessary skills and resources to thrive in the 21st century. The gap between the haves and the have-nots will only continue to grow. Many people, the chance to resist and fight back and actually have a chance of winning, that was supposed to happen 20 years ago, 30 years ago. That ship has long sailed. The level of technology that exists out here today is just, it's far superior than man's will and spirit to win. But again, you have to read books like Behold the Pale Horse and Aldous Huxley's A Brave New World and George Orwell's 1984 to really understand what I'm saying, right? Because, sometimes when I speak, a lot of you, you get offended or you get upset because, you don't have the experience or the knowledge. You don't have the full range of information. So your perspective and your lens may be narrow, right? I'm coming at this from a much, much broader lens, and I'm just looking at what's out here. And I'm saying to myself, like, for example, when you come here and you look at this right here and you look at what exists out here with Boston Dynamics, and and you see the power of these robots and what they can do. I don't want the audio to play. Right? Like when you see stuff like this, you know, this is fresh out of a sci-fi movie. What do you think that this robot is being designed to do? You think that this robot is being designed so that you can have a new toy? Or do you think that this robot will eventually work in factories? Do you think that this robot will one day become like RoboCop and police your neighborhoods? Now, I know what you're saying. I'm crazy. I'm a conspiracy theorist, right? They have this technology right now in New York City walking around, the C-Spot dog. I remember seeing this technology 5 years ago when they were testing it. This spot dog right here is walking around with police officers in New York City. It's happening. It's in your face. So, you know, what are you going to do to stop these robots? Because if they're showing you this, what do you think exists behind the scenes? You don't think that one day Skynet will gain, you know, awareness, right? What do you think machine learning is all about? What do you think AI is all about? It's a way of trying to be able to, you know, why do you think companies like Google and Facebook hold so much of your data? What are they holding this data for? They're trying to mimic human behavior and human consciousness and put it in a robot. Like these things are real. So, you know, I mean, you can try to resist, but resistance is futile, in my opinion. Aside from Hex, Postchain by Richard Hart has a promising airdrop. I think you should look into it. There's high potential since it's an ETH fork. Yeah, I got enough on my plate, to be quite honest with you guys. I'm solidly positioned in most of my projects. Richard's a brilliant mind. Hex has done phenomenally well. I'm pretty sure Postchain will do phenomenally well. Richard understands how to market. He understands how to create pumpamentals. It's just at this point, I don't need to be getting into a whole nother project. Like I'm in enough projects as it is. Like at a certain point, you have to also understand that you run out of capital, right? Like there's a lot of good ideas, but it's like at a certain point, like how big does my portfolio need to be? Do I need to be in 50 cryptocurrencies? Do I need to be in 30 cryptocurrencies? Like at a certain point, you have to start concentrating what you're investing in and just focus on building that stack that you have rather than every week jumping on the latest and greatest cryptocurrency. Again, we're very early. Most of this technology will pump. There's no reason to debate that or go back and forth. Now it's about building out a solid portfolio. See, again, I'm not attacking you. Go ahead. I'm just simply saying I see people do this all the time. Every time a new project comes out, they jump into it. Oh my God, you know, Ivan on Tech talked about this. Chico Crypto talked about that. Cardano's getting smart contracts. Shiba Swap this. At a certain point, you have to know what you own and own what you own, right? I know what I own. I know what I own, and I'm going to own what I own. I'm doing phenomenally well in my positions. I'm up 20, 30, 40x in some of my positions. I've made over a 70x in something like a Matic. I don't need to keep constantly every week reinventing and recreating the wheel. Find solid projects, invest in them, create a portfolio, have some large high caps, have some mid caps, have some low caps, have a few pieces of garbage, and then you'll be fine. But you know, I don't want to spend too much of my time constantly just jumping into new projects. There's enough happening within the Ethereum ecosystem for me to keep me busy. Now I'm taking on Solana and Terra, so my hands are full with that. But again, for all of you guys who are interested in Postchain, you know, you can go and do your own due diligence and create your own content around it. But I don't, you know, I don't need to be focusing on that. You get to the point where you're all over the place. No, I don't support universal basic income. I don't support anything that comes from government. Understand that the government gives you things with strings attached. I'm not a fan of anything that's coming from the government that's going to be controlled, tracked, traced, and monitored. So that's where I stand. I'm not a fan of that at all. Don't forget about quantum computers. I cover quantum computers. We are years away from getting a quantum computer that's actually going to be able to break a lot of these cryptographic, secure algorithms and break some of these cryptographic schemes. I just don't see it anytime soon. To get that many bits of error corrected quantum computing, it's very, very far off. this technology is not utilizing quantum computers. Quantum computers is used for something completely different. So we're way off from the idea of quantum computers and at the end of the day, it's really even hard to find like real use cases for quantum computers. But you know, in terms of crypto, but this technology here is here right now. It exists. It's in our faces. I don't know how this person is still here. Like, I thought I removed you. I don't know how you're still here. I think I deleted the wrong person. Give me 1 second. Damn, I think I deleted the wrong person. Yeah, wow. Sorry about that. I deleted the wrong person and left the wrong person here. Unhide this user. So yeah. Oh, when do I think ETH will go back up? I believe that we're gonna have one more leg down, one more heavy push. Let's pull up a chart. So, and again, I'm not really big into technical analysis. I just like to use it as a visual reference. When you look at Bitcoin right now, we are going to have to, excuse me, right now we're trading at what, $31,000, $32,000. We need to push down to about 24K, like right down here in this area, to really just scare everyone. So my price target for ETH, this correction was about 1,700. Most likely with crypto, we always overshoot on the lows and we always overshoot on the highs. We should have another push down to probably, you know, $1,700, $1,600 Ethereum, you know, in that area, and then continue to the bull market. So about a week or two from now, we'll have that really good washout, and then we'll have the market begin to start pushing back up and going to make all-time highs going into the fall. Now, that's us looking at this from the standpoint that we don't have another lockdown and we don't have another shutdown of the economy. If that happens, then the stock market's going to go down dramatically and crypto's going to go down dramatically. And then the Fed's going to have to come and do exactly what it did March of last year and step in and start injecting liquidity. So remember, this is talking as long as we don't have another shutdown and a lockdown of the economy, then we should be okay. If we have that happen, we have a crazy spike in the Delta variant, then all bets are off for crypto and the stock market. We're going much lower. But as long as that doesn't happen, then we should be fine. No, I didn't get to look at TennoCon. I've been so busy, man, just with like my students, with the academy, with creating content, researching things, with my investors, with my investments. I just haven't had a lot of time. I've really been into Doom Eternal and the Ancient Gods DLC. That's what I've been playing a lot of right now. Cause like I said, like when I play the game, I feel like a damn Doom Slayer when I play that game. Like that, by far, is the best first person shooter I've ever played. I love Halo, like because I mean that was like when I first started playing Xbox, was like with Halo, but man, Doom Eternal is like by far like it takes the whole FPS experience to a whole new level. So by far, yeah, Darius Harper, that definitely looks like what's about to happen. That looks like definitely what's about to happen. I hope that it doesn't happen, but it's looking like they're going to try to scare people into taking the jab, right? So the whole idea is to say that people are getting sick because like people took the jab to prevent themselves from getting sick, but the people who didn't take the jab can then make them sick against what they took the jab for not to get sick. So it's like, You know, they try to sell you on herd immunity. It's like, well, what's the purpose of taking the jab to protect you from getting sick if it can't protect you from getting sick, right? Or then they say, well, now they're trying to sell you on, it's about herd immunity. I mean, listen, you know, I'm not here to judge you if that's what you want to do with your body, your choice. Just like it should be my body and my choice. But they're going to try to use that spike in cases as a way to, you know, force you to eventually take it. Like you're not going to be able to go to school, go to sporting events, or get on airplanes or travel without it. I can see that happening in a major way. So, you know, we could definitely see that happen. Let me go up a little bit and see some more. Yeah, Khaled West, there are multiple ways that you can, you know, protect yourself against quantum computers. I don't like, think about it. Who's going to come out and start using quantum computers to break cryptography, different cryptographic schemes? Like once you use it, then the world's going to know it exists. Excuse me. Part of having a weapon is not using it unless you have to use it, right? So out of all of the things that you can break, the last thing people are going to be focused on doing is trying to break different crypto projects. Like if you have a quantum computer and you can do, you know, hundreds of bits of error corrected, you know, quantum computing, then why not go after the nuclear codes? Why not go after banking records? Why not hack people's emails? Why not go after governments and try to get their secrets and their, you know, sealed files? Like, you know, once quantum computers get out here, like we have much more to worry about than worrying about, you know, our little cryptocurrencies. Like I think you guys, you miss, and I'm not saying you per se, asking about the quantum computer, but I think you forget how small crypto is. Like crypto is only worth $1.3 trillion. Who gives a damn about crypto? It's not large enough to be a threat to anyone. See, we sometimes we get a little far ahead of ourselves and we start thinking that we're more powerful than what we really are. And you look at it and you say, you're only worth 1.3. The stock market globally is worth $110 trillion. The S&P is worth $32 trillion. Crypto's a baby. It's nothing. It's insignificant. Look what happened with China. Soon as Bitcoin mining got banned, the price of Bitcoin crashed. It's not ready to battle against states yet. It has to go through a lot of different iterations before you can get to the point of ever thinking that you can compete with, you know, governments and world governments. We're nowhere near that point yet. I hope and pray that this technology could one day become robust and dynamic to withstand state attacks. But, you know, right now, Bitcoin is an anti-fragile system. It does withstand the punches, but when it gets punched, it gets knocked down, right? Like, let's just be real about that. Like, let's not sit up here and kid ourselves. And with more institutional investors getting involved, with so much crypto sitting on exchanges, how decentralized is this technology really? Right. So like when you start thinking about the fact that the average person using this technology, do you think that they're going to purchase one of these? Right? Do you think that they have a safe that's fireproof to store this stuff in? Like, no, most people buy crypto, they just care about the price going up. So like crypto's not a threat to anyone right now. Maybe one day it will become a threat, but right now crypto's a baby. We're in 1997 of our .com or 1995 of our .com bubble, right? So, right. So just be mindful of that. Like you know, a lot of people try to sell you on that this technology is going to, you know, destroy the banks. Maybe one day, maybe in 5 or 10 years, but not right now. Today, we have a vision. And as I evolve and I look at these things on a much, again, that's the beautiful thing about life is that as you get older and you gain more experience, your lens and your perspective grows and right and it expands. See, one of the problems with youth is that, you know, you have a lot of energy and excitement, but sometimes you don't have the experience to really know and really take a step back sometimes and view things from a wider lens. So sometimes you could be so narrow in your thinking and with your lens that you zoom in too much and you don't zoom out far enough. When you zoom out far enough, you can see that this technology, there's so many centralized choke points that right now that governments could attack. so easily. You know, like, for example, Apple can ship MacBooks with backdoor software that could listen to your keys when you're typing in your passwords, right? And just steal all of your crypto. You know, many of you have your private keys sitting on a note somewhere on your computer or sitting in an email. You don't think that Google can backdoor and go into your email and basically get your private keys that you stashed in your email somewhere? Or many of you, you've taken a picture with your phone, and then your picture, your phone uploads that picture to the cloud. I mean, there's so many different ways that, like, they don't have to break the cryptography in order for them to be able to infiltrate your crypto, right? Your crypto sitting on an exchange, they can easily seize the exchange and choke you out there. They can install, you know, malware into all of the MacBooks and the new what's the name, Windows computers if they wanted to backdoor you, because most of you are not running a full node. Most of you are not bootstrapping your own software. You're not doing that, right? So there's so many different ways that, like, if the government wanted to really come after you and come after crypto, they could do it, because the average person has no clue about this stuff. So we're very far from, you know, destabilizing, overthrowing governments. Now, can we be competitive with banks? Can we be competitive with companies? Absolutely, we could do that. But we have a long way to go. Right. Yeah, Cormega, 100%. Quantum computers will not be used to control crypto. Not at all. There's just so many better places to use that technology than crypto. It's too small. It's a baby. Like, why would you use like a nuke? like that's like saying, you know, there's one burglar or one robber in the Bronx. Rather than sending like a police in there to go get them, we're just gonna nuke the whole city. Like you wouldn't use your best weapon for something so small. Right. Well, the phrase words are just your basically your seed that's basically your private key, right? But it's just put in the word value, right? I think that's like BIP. I forgot what proposal that was introduced in. But at the end of the day, right, like, you have to think about how hard it is to brute force that, right? Like, you're talking about a number that has 256 digits at the end of it. So it's extremely hard to be able to brute force that number. That number, that string, is larger than every grain on the planet Earth. And that's if you had 10 Earths, right? So cryptographically, it's secure. Mathematically, it's secure based upon the current level of computing that we have, right? So, like, when you think about 2 to the power of 256, right? That's huge, right? That's a number with 256 zeros behind it. Like, that number is insanely large when you think about your private key. So there's no hashing algorithm right now that we could think of, or way to brute force that, right? Like, you have to keep guessing and checking. We're talking about literally trillions upon trillions of years before you come to the right actual, number. So it's extremely hard to be able to brute force that number in terms of finding someone's private key. So you're cryptographically secure, right? 'Cause if you don't believe me, like, literally just raise 2 to the power of 256. Right. So it doesn't exist right now. Right. This is why miners use so much energy and electricity, because effectively what they're doing when they're trying to find a nonce and solve the cryptographic puzzle is they're just doing a brute force, a guess and check for it. Like, they're just simply guessing and checking a bunch of numbers. And when you're guessing and checking, you're burning a whole bunch of energy. So you'll be dead. You'll be long and gone by the time you crack, that number. No, the feds didn't brute force those hacker wallets at all. See, and I'm glad you asked that question, Jeep Man ones. How do we know that story is actually even true? How do we know that wasn't the feds themselves basically saying that they hacked something just to put out fear, right? How do we know that that's not the government manipulating the media? Like, you don't know, right? So it's hard to sit up here and take stories like that at face value, because If they have the ability to break SHA-256, then all encryption, like you have to think about it, like SHA-256 was created by the NSA, right? So think about how much, government technology is encrypted using SHA-256, right? So you have to start thinking, like, just like we have an NSA, we have an FBI, we have a CIA, Russia has the same thing. China has the same thing. Iran, they have levels of, government that spy and do these things too. So if SHA-256 isn't safe, the last thing you have to worry about is crypto. You should be worried about things much bigger than that. So I don't believe the FBI or the feds or whoever was trying to get into those hackers. Most of the time, the hackers are the feds themselves, right? So I don't follow a lot of the stuff that people put out. From my understanding, they had it sitting on a server or sitting on an exchange somewhere, and they were able to go in there and confiscate it that way. But it's not implausible. Absolutely. Absolutely. I'm never saying that it's implausible. I mean, think about it. If the NSA created SHA-256, what would make you think that they don't have a backdoor? Like, why would the government create something if they didn't have a backdoor to it, right? Like, I mean, that's just logically thinking. I wouldn't create something to be utilized and used if I didn't have methods or ways to backdoor and figure it out. But remember, there are other cryptographic schemes, so just be mindful of that. And hashing algorithms, right? There's other cryptographic schemes, and there's other hashing algorithms as well. So, and that's the beautiful thing about cryptography, right? Like, I believe that SHA-1 was broken, that the hashing function for SHA-1 was broken, and that's how we got SHA-2. Well, when you start thinking about government, Courtney Gibson, remember, government and the private sector, they're one and the same, right? Like so. What are my top 5 coins? Ethereum, Chainlink, Cosmos. Polkadot, Telcoin, and Energy Web Token. So 6, but you can interchange one of them to make 5. Yes, 100%, Nick Anderson. I believe that Google was able to crack SHA-256. I mean, SHA-1. They were able to find a collision with the hashing function, right? So they were able to find a collision, right? Because the whole idea of a hash function is that you can put in any type of data of any length, and you'll always get a fixed output, right? So they were able to get a collision with like two different hashes and get a collection. Yeah, Monero's a beast, man. Monero by far is one of my favorite cryptocurrencies, just for the level of of privacy that you get with Monero. Bitcoin is a surveillance coin. Like when you go here to the block explorer, let's go to the blockchain.info. Right, when you come here, this is what I mean by the fact that like Bitcoin is a surveillance coin. I hate when this damn thing does this. Give me 1 second. There we go. So let me tell you what I'm talking about right here, because I know some of you are like, what the hell are you talking about? Like when you go here to Bitcoin, you can see like all of the latest transactions, right? You can see like the latest block. So like I could see that there was a block that was mined 6 minutes, 8 minutes, 30 minutes, 34 minutes. Like I could see everything that's happening. I could see the miner of the actual pull. So I click on this block, and in here I can see all of the transactions in this block, and I can see the addresses where it started at and where it was sent to, and I can start to see how much Bitcoin was in this particular transaction, So I can start now tracking you across the blockchain. So Chainalysis, they have tools that they can literally follow you all over the blockchain. So think about this. If I pay my neighbor, my babysitter, if I go and use my Bitcoin somewhere, you now know my address. So you can start to put together and triangulate a person based upon their spending patterns from their Bitcoin address. So, you have to be very, 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 mindful of these things. So with Bitcoin now, I was reading about Lightning Network briefly, and I don't know enough about this to say if this is accurate or not, but that they're building some privacy features into how you can, run through different channels with the Lightning Network. Again, I'm still in the process of looking into that stuff, but Monero is by far the best blockchain when it comes to looking for real privacy and real anonymity. Drugs Bunny. That's a good question. I'm not a fan of real estate. I do own some real estate, but I'm not a fan of it. I don't like dealing with people, and anything physical, in my personal opinion, is dangerous. But I do think that in terms of building wealth, and like I said before, there's a spectrum here, right? There isn't a one-size-fits-all solution, and this is why you have to be mindful of when you listen to people. Different investment vehicles and opportunities will work for different people depending on the circumstances and the individual. Real estate is beneficial in terms of you can leverage it. You can always turn it into an Airbnb, depending on where it's located. You can always get additional loans and lever it up. And banks love to see that you have tangible assets that give you more money collateral. I think that crypto is superior in a form that is transportable and it's digital, but it has its limitations because it has a lot of volatility, right? So you have to ask yourself, where are you in your wealth journey in terms of what makes the most sense to you? Are you in your wealth building phase, right? Well, right now, most likely crypto is probably going to give you your best bang for your buck ROI wise, because the market overall is down about 50% from high to low. Some projects are down 90% depending on what you're looking at. So, the fact that you can be liquid and you can make a 5x, 10x, 15x on your money is beautiful. But the question, like Ray Dalio said, when you sell your crypto, you sell into what, right? So this is when now you have to start thinking about owning a quote unquote home, because homes tend to appreciate or outpace inflation. And it's something tangible that you can lever up if you're also in terms of investments, right? So you have to be more dynamic in your way you're thinking, approaching it. A good balance, it would make sense. But for a person looking to build wealth, in my opinion, if you're looking to build wealth, you're going to get your best bang for your buck with crypto. In terms of trying to hold your wealth, right, that you've already accumulated, or diversify your wealth, then real estate comes into play. Now, how much of a percentage you want to go between real estate and crypto all depends on what are your goals. I will tell you that all of my wealth is tied up into, like, all my liquid money that I have coming into, all of it goes into crypto. I am invested heavily into crypto because I understand where we are in terms of the cycle. And any cash I get goes right back into crypto. But eventually, when I'm done with crypto, I plan to get out and hop into real estate heavily, mainly like commercial real estate, but all like big buildings that people will live into. That's what I plan on doing. So I hope I'm answering it and not dancing around your question. I know it may be a little convoluted, but I'm overweight crypto now. But eventually, I plan on, when I cash out, going into real estate, just because I know that you can't grow more land. You can't. But now you have to think about the cons. With being that real estate's physical, governments can step in and seize it. Black Lives Matter can come and burn it down. Governments can, raise your taxes on you. So crypto becomes superior in some ways. The fact that you can get up and leave, like I can literally take my ledger or my seed in my mind, and I can go anywhere in the world that has favorable tax rates, right, or better government. You can't pick up your real estate and just take it with you, right? So one of the problems with real estate, again, not saying that crypto is better or that real estate's better, just giving you the different pros and cons. The fact that real estate is physical means that it can be seized, means that it can be regulated, it means that it could be taxed. Crypto, if we get to where we're trying to go, it's superior in the form that is transportable. So I hope that that answers your question. And if you have any more questions, I'll try to dive a little bit deeper into. If you're 100% into property, then obviously you need to diversify a little bit, right? Like clearly you wouldn't want to get into crypto. Now, what percentage? I don't know your financial goals. I don't know your financial situation, and I'm not a financial advisor, so I can't tell you what percentage. I would just tell you that 90% of my wealth or my cash flow is going into crypto. I've dumped and sold a lot of gold. I've sold a lot of my gold mining stocks. I am all in on crypto. It is either going to be boom or bust for me. I believe in this technology in terms of what it could eventually do. Whether it's going to be used for good or bad, that's up to you, how you adopt it, but it will pump. That I believe. Right. But I don't like dealing with people, man. One of the worst things about real estate is just dealing with tenants and people, man. Like, oh man, people are ignorant. Like, and then with this whole, lockdown and shutdown with the moratorium and people not paying you and tearing up your property, it's just like, Courtney Gibson, that's a great question. I don't believe that there's a backdoor. No, I don't. I believe that it's cryptographically secure, but who's to say that we don't know, right? That's the beautiful thing about this. We don't know. So this is what we do know about cryptography and most cryptographic schemes is most cryptographic schemes are secure, right? From what we do know, right? From all of the public studies and research that's went into this technology. Most cryptographic schemes are broken through social engineering, right? So most of the time when the feds come after you, they don't really break the cryptographic scheme. What they do is they social engineer, where they email you something and you click on it, right? Or they introduce some type of a malware into your computer. That's how they end up being able to break into your computer or break around or get around your cryptographic schemes or play a man in the middle and intercept. But most cryptographic schemes are not broken. Like if you learn about how cryptography is broken, it's mainly broken through social engineering attacks, because most people are dumb. They click on things that they have no business clicking on. They open up text messages that they have no business opening. And then now you're vulnerable that way. Or your phone is vulnerable in ways where, like, if you don't update certain apps and certain apps are exposed, they can then get into your libraries inside of your computer. So it's mainly just through like social engineering attacks how most times governments break encryption schemes. Like, they don't actually break the encryption, they get around it. I'm invested in the internet computer. I'm getting my ass handed to me royally in the internet computer. I'm probably down in internet computer probably like 60-70%. I've started buying some more. It's heavily centralized. It's owned by a ton of VCs. I was simply buying the project as a trade. It was grossly overvalued. I started getting involved in internet computer around like $170, I believe. And I've been averaging into the project, and I'm still down massively in the project. I believe that the project needs to get to like $70 before I break even in internet computer, somewhere around like $70. I'm getting crushed in that project, but I'm still averaging into it. On the next wave, the next move down that we have, I'll average some more into it. I believe that internet computer is going to be like a Ripple or like a Cardano, because it's hated so much, it's going to pump. The technology is very, very interesting, but it's heavily centralized, and there's a lot of VC money in there, and they have to dump. Like the same thing with the Coinbase IPO. A lot of early money wants to dump the price. I'm getting crushed, absolutely crushed in that project. So, but I believe it's going to pump. It's going to pump so much because there's just so much negativity around it, and there's so many insiders that they sold the top, they're going to buy back in at the bottom. I watched this happen time and time again with crypto. I like I said, I started buying around $170. My average price is somewhere in the $70 range, so I'm down like around like 50-60%, maybe 70, depending on where we're at right now today. So it's not with crypto. I mean, I think could be back at $100 tomorrow, right? And we'll be sitting here laughing. So with crypto, I know that, but that by far, I would say that ICP has probably been my worst investment in this bull market. By far. Right? By far. It definitely has been my worst investment. So you can't get them all right, right? You can't get them all right. Every now and then you will take a few losses, and investing is part of the business. So, but in crypto, 60% is nothing. Like to be down 60%, because you got to think about, I could be down 60% today and up 10x tomorrow. So. Buffalo Gal says, Eli, so thankful I ran into your channel because of you. I started investing in crypto. I'm still a newbie, but learning every day. Yeah, no problem, man. And also to diversify who you listen to. Like, don't just consume my content. Listen to people like Richard Hart. Listen to people like Andreas Antonopoulos. Like, you know, get a Chico Crypto. His research is good, but he pumps a lot of coins. So, like, eat the meat, spit out the bones. But guys, there's a ton of information out here. You know, just don't try to limit the people you listen to probably like 5 or 7 different people for different things. Don't get information overload and don't overcomplicate things. Same thing with investing. You know, anything over like 5 or 10 projects, you start getting into like overkill. Don't kill yourself and go crazy. Right? Keep a little bit of focus. Patrick Alston, I have a good amount of money in stable coins. I don't hold any cash in my bank account. Most of my money is tied up in stable coins. And then I have a lot of daily cash flow that comes in from various different businesses that I run. And so that's one of the beautiful things about this is why it's important to start businesses and diversify your income, right? Your income streams, because I have you know, money coming in from multiple different places, I can then funnel that money into stable coins and then, you know, average into my crypto projects. I don't know the exact percentage off the top of my head. So I win, but it's a large amount of my cash flow that comes in and goes into stable coins. And then like I have prices that I want to buy particular projects at, or I'm looking at percentages. Like, for example, if there aren't any prices or levels that I see that I want to buy at based upon, you know, volume, based upon, you know, just a whole bunch of different things that I use to formulate my investment thesis, then I buy every 15 to 20% pullback or down move in a particular cryptocurrency. But I wouldn't know off the top of my head like which percentage I'm sitting in cash. I'm making my own cryptocurrency as we speak, Nick. I'm researching and doing that right now, and just putting together how I want to approach it. You know, I've tried a few different things before, didn't really work out. The problem with crypto is just hard finding talented people. There's no way that you're going to be able to do it all. You need a team of developers, experienced people, and it's just hard to find experienced people that you can trust. Right? Everyone in crypto right now is just looking to make a quick buck. So. Drugs Bunny, I covered Tether already. I told you guys that Tether keeps me up at night. Tether is a ticking time bomb. This is why I want to see institutional investors get involved, because it will diversify the capital that's involved in crypto right now, right? Tether is a problem, a major problem. Now, how much impact will it have? When will it implode? Who knows, right? We don't know. With crypto, it's very easy to continue perpetrating fraud. But those of us that have been involved in crypto for a while, we always knew that Tether, they were printing more Tethers in circulation than actual dollars backing up Tether. Now they have a bunch of commercial paper and other collateral backing up their, you know, the one-to-one Tether that's in circulation. It's crypto, guys. We're early. I keep trying to tell you guys that crypto's full of fraud. It's full of schemes. This is why I don't trust things like BlockFi. Don't trust exchanges, because when you look at how easy it is to manipulate these markets, obfuscate, you know, information, and it's so easy to manipulate prices and manipulate people. Crypto, we're in the early days. We're in the wild, wild west. It's early. This is why many of us will get rich, because we're early, right? We're early adopters. So we have to worry about the tethers of the world. Tether is definitely a problem. They haven't been printing any new tether, which is why you haven't really seen a price going up like that. But when that domino drops and how large that that of an impact will that shoe make, we don't know. Sometimes with crypto, news comes out, something blows up, and the market just takes off, right? And then other times, something comes out and the market tanks. We just don't know. But Tether definitely is a problem. And they've definitely been manipulating crypto markets. Like I did a whole video on Tether talking about, like, when you ask yourself, like, why did the crypto markets crash in 2018? Right? Could it be that Tether manipulated the market lower to try to make up for the gap in their reserves? Right? Because think about it. If you can manipulate the market higher, you damn sure can manipulate it lower. Right. So you did, like, this is something that people they miss. Like if you can manipulate prices higher, you definitely can manipulate them lower. So just be mindful of that. But guys, we're approaching an hour and 45 minutes. I don't want to make this go too long, so I'm going to wrap it up here. We'll be live in the next 2 or 3 days. Please do me a favor and like this video, share this video, subscribe, hit the notification bell. Make sure that you set the notifications to all. Please join my mailing list so that you can be notified via email in the event that you don't receive a notification from YouTube. A link to my Instagram is in the description below as well. You can follow me on Instagram and shoot me a DM if you want to dialogue and have any questions. If you're someone that's interested in getting involved with this technology, I created My Tech Academy. We cover all things crypto in terms of how to buy, how to sell, how to store, different investing strategies in terms of how to create a portfolio. We have an active and a vibrant Slack group full of other people who are involved in this technology. We have a coding bootcamp going on as well right now, and we have a free 3-day trial. So you are welcome to try it out for 3 days. As long as you cancel within the first 3 days, you will not be charged anything if you don't like it. But if you like it and you want to stick around, definitely do so. So with that being said, guys, have a blessed and beautiful evening. I will see you guys sometime throughout this week.